What the hell is up, everybody? UFC 272, you got Colby, Chaos, Covington taking on Jorge, Gamebred, Masvidal to see who is the biggest alpha at 170. No belts on the line. I don't think you need them. Quick recap of last weekend. I did pretty well. I got 3 wrong. Petrosian and Rodriguez. I thought Rodriguez won that one. Not a robbery, but close one. But Jiyeon Kim and Priscilla Cachoeira, 1,000% the robbery. Jiyeon Kim doubled her up in strikes. I would have won money on that. That kind of cost me. Whatever. Don't bet on women's MMA. Big spot though, Wellington Turman beat Misha Serkinov, got that armbar out of nowhere after a tough second round, tough second part of the first round, and plus 120, nice little profit there. Terrence McKinney really impressed me. He showed more than just his one knockout power. Got the takedown and got the submission, so very excited to see his future in this division. And then Bobby Green and Makhachev, you know, it is what it is. Bobby Green is an absolute gangster for stepping in on short notice like that. I thought it could go over 2.5, but Makhachev was a little too much for him. You know, Bobby fought a couple weeks before that, so whatever. He'll fight another day. Anyway, Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal, and then the co-main event just got very interesting. Rafael dos Anjos taking on Renato Moicano, originally supposed to be Rafael Fiziev. You know what, dude? I kind of like this co-main a little more because Renato Moicano is not ranked. He has so much more to gain than Fiziev does. Fiziev is already a force in this division. He's an impending force on the top 5, but Moicano could kind of just come out of nowhere and steal a spotlight. So I'm really excited for that one. And then Edson Barboza and Bryce Mitchell, you know, it's do or die for either guy, basically. If Bryce Mitchell wants to be elite, got to beat Barboza, and Barboza wants to stay relevant, you got to do it. And then Kevin Holland making his 170-pound debut against Oliveira. Absolute do or die for Kevin Holland, in my opinion. And then Greg Hardy is on the card. So, all right, let's kick it off. The co-main event of the early prelims at 125, men's flyweight, Tim Elliott taking on Tagir Beckoff. Elliott fought Matheus Nicolau his last fight. First round, I noticed that he chased and he landed some lead hook on the fence. Then he lunges forward with the 1-2, and then he's able to get the single leg and get back control, back on the feet. He eats some overhands while he's walking forward, though. Gets a little reckless at times, but I thought Tim had a really good first round in that fight. Then in the second round, he presses forward with some front kicks, but he eats some short overhands from Matheus, and then he presses with some peppering jabs and circles around. Just kind of peppers him, scores some points there, but then he eats some hooks to the body, and then his double leg is stuffed toward the end of the round. But then in the third round, he eats some body hooks, but he's able to get the clinch to the fence, and then he's able to get the double leg as he's pressing forward. I thought he had a really good first round. Second round, arguable. Thought he lost the third round, I believe, something like that. But, you know, gave up the takedowns. But I thought he looked good. Wild, can mix it up. And then Tagir Beckoff, he took on Alan Nascimento his last fight. In the first round, he presses with the jabs in the pocket, but he eats a jump knee, but he's able to get the clinch and then turn it into a takedown. But he's able to get the guillotine from bottom and roll in top position, but he doesn't finish it, however. Tough break, but Beckoff just stays on him, and he didn't blow his arms out, so that's good to see his preservation. Then in the second round, he presses forward, shoots the double on the fence, and he's able to keep the body lock, drop down, get the takedown that way, stays on him, keeps working, makes it tough for the guy on the fence. And then, but he's able to defend the Kimura attempt, which, you know. And then in the third round, he's able to get the double off of Allen's flying knee, and he escapes a triangle attempt, and then he's able to work in the half guard and ride out the rest of the round. Take a look at the betting line. Tagir minus 240, Elliott plus 195. I think if Elliott is almost plus 200, I like Elliott. If Elliott was a favorite, I probably wouldn't bet him. But Tim Elliott at plus money, give it to me all day. He can mix things up. His striking's good. He can pepper with jabs. If he can defend a takedown or two, I think he'll be okay. My pick here is Tim Elliott. Gotta roll the dice. The main event of the early prelims, up at 145. Both of these guys are bantamweights, but they're fighting at 145 for some reason. Featherweight. Brian Kelleher taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. Khabib's relative, brother or cousin, can't remember. Anyway, Kelleher, he took on Kevin Kurman his last fight, again up at 145, which is why I'm not too concerned. In the first round, he gets pressed with straight shots against the fence, but he's able to drop him with the step in right hand. Then he eats a straight at range, but he's able to dip in for landing some body shots, which is always good. He starts it early, invests throughout the whole fight, and then he's able to land a back fist and then a right hook and then get the double leg in the first round. So pretty nice, some tricky moves from Kelleher there. And then in the second round, he eats some 1-2s at range, but he looking for the counter hooks, you can tell. And then he's able to get the double off of jumping knee from Kroom. and he's able to take the back and then transition to half guard, stays on him for the whole second round. You can really see Kroom start to get tired and his gas tank start to drain, and Kelleher looks pretty fresh. And then in the third round, he lands some body hooks to jab and then shoots a double against the fence. And then he's able to get multiple round returns, which is always great, and just rides out the rest of the round. So good to see there from Kelleher. And then Umar Nurmagomedov took on Sergey Morozov his last fight. This was his UFC debut, I believe. Anyway, in the first round, he's at range, lands a body kick, but he gets countered with the overhand right. But he's able to duck the hooks, and he gets a double, and then he's able to get to the back, and then he's able to get another double off of an overhand from Morozov, just gets a little too extended and takes his opportunity. Then in the second round, he rocks him with the head kick, and he's able to get him coming into him, and then he's able to land some jabs, and then he's able to get the double leg on get to the backpack position. He's on his back standing. And then from there, he just maintains composure, doesn't slide off, gets a rear naked choke submission pretty easily, honestly. He was really good for his debut. He's pretty young, I think 22 or 23 maybe. But Umar minus 720, Kelleher plus 500. I really like Brian Kelleher, but it's plain as day. He can always beat the bottom of the barrel guys. He'll always look great against them. Once you get to top 25, top 20, he struggles. I really hate this line. It's insane, but it's Umar Nurmagomedov. His wrestling's really good, to put it plainly, and he's just gonna take Kelleher down. Might be able to rock him. I think Kelleher might be able to hang in there, but it's one of those things you just got to put the money on it. It's gonna win. It's a lower level fight, but Nurmagomedov is a budding prospect, and Kelleher's a lower level guy, and he's 35, and that's how it goes. Sorry, Brian, but, I still love to watch him fight, though. Anyway, my pick here is Umar Nurmagomedov. I hate the line, but that's the pick. On to the first fight of the prelims at women's flyweight 125. Marina Moros taking on Maria Agapova. Apparently, there's a lot of drama around this one, but I'm going to try to stay out of that. Marloes took on Maya Buena Silva her last fight. In the first round, she lands some jabs at range, lands left hook as she presses forward, lands some straights to the body, but she starts getting pressed, eating straight shots, and then she eats a head kick. But she's able to push Silva down and get on top for the rest of the round. Not really a takedown though, she kind of gave it to her. But then in the second round, she shoots a single, but it gets stuffed. But she lands some jabs and she's backing up. But she gets pressed and eats another head kick and then some 1-2s. But then she eats a short hook in the pocket, and then gets clinched to the fence, but she's able to get a takedown using the wizard kick as Silva's coming into her. And then she's able to get into half guard, land some nice elbows in the second round. And then in the third round, she backs up, lands some straight shots at range, eats some knees in the plum tie though, but she eats a right hook in the pocket, and some light kicks, and she's just going toe-to-toe with her. But then she gets rocked with the straight right, and then her double leg gets stuffed, and then she loses the firefight at the end of the fight. But, she had pretty good showing from her. Just didn't look great at the end of the fight, but And then Maria Agapova took on Sabina Mazo her last fight. In the first round, she circles on the outside. She's one of those. She'll circle not right along the cage, but close to it. And then she just throws some straight shots and keeps circling, stays on her bicycle, and then she lands some short hooks. Remember, she gets pressed, and then she lands some overhands, and then lands a hard straight right in the pocket, and then lands some body kicks. And then in the second round, she steps in with a 1-2-1 combination. Then she circles out. Then she lands some straight left to the body, a straight left to the body, and then another straight left. Lands straight left to the body, a straight left to the body, and then a right hook drops her in the separate sequence. And then she's able to get she's like hunched over on all fours, and then instead of going crazy and trying to finish her and gas herself out, she just jumps on a rear naked choke. And that's that. And it was pretty smart because she did gas out in her last fight. And she got that submission in like 2 seconds. So that was really smart. Agapova minus 190, Moros plus 160. This is a tough one, and I think it's going to be a relatively close fight. And it's women's MMA, so it's tough, and underdogs do win. But just watching the tape, I just really think Agapova is going to win. I don't know. Early on in the night, I don't feel like you can only so many underdogs you're going to hit. I just don't know if this is going to be the one. Minus 190 is a lot, but I just think Agapova is going to be able to stay on the outside, land more shots, bust her up a little bit. I think she'll be able to stuff the takedowns, might be able to get on top in a clinch situation. whatever. My pick here is Maria Agapova. Okay, the feature fight, if you will, of the prelims at 205 men's light heavyweight. You got Nikolai Negumereanu taking on Kennedy and Zechariah. Nikolai took on Ike Villanueva's last fight. Very quick, though. But he eats some hooks at first, but then he lands a straight right and gets the TKO. Whatever. Ike's really not that great, no offense. But then before that, he took on Alexa Kmore, up-and-comer. And this is UFC return after a long layoff, I believe. In the first round, he walks into some straight shots as he's stalking forward. He eats a counter left hook on the inside. Then he walks into a 1-2, but he presses forward, starts landing his own jabs, and then a right hook in the clinch, and he's able to get the body lock takedown. And then back on the feet, he lands some left hooks in a firefight. And if he's in a firefight, he's going to win. So that's one thing I picked up on that. And then the second round, he eats overhand in the pocket, but he's able to get the underhook, clinch with the underhook on the fence, really make Kmore carry his weight. I really like that detail. But then the clinch break, he eats some jabs, and then a 3-2 combination, but he lands a left hook in the pocket. Then in the third round, he eats a left hook. He's chasing with some wild hooks, just going wild. I don't know. And then he stuffs the double and then lands some elbows and hooks while he's defending. But then he's able to get the underhook clinch again. But then he eats a 1-2 at the end of the fight at range. But Kmore was just coming on because he probably knew he lost it, so he just ate those at the end. But I thought he looked really good. Coming back up for a layoff, a little wild. He'll take a few to give one. But I think he can take them. So, and then Kennedy and Zechariah took on Da Un Jung in his last fight. And first round, keeps a high guard like this. That's his thing. He'll take multiple punches. He did it in his last fight against I forget the guy's name, but he did that in his last fight, and he took a hell of a beating. And that guy, he just gassed out. But it's not a good defense, especially if you want to fight the high level. They call it the turtle defense. And he thinks he can just do that, but I don't know, man. Especially since Negumereanu hits pretty hard. Anyway, I had to get it out of the way. Also, it was Carlos Ulberg. He fought. I think Ulberg just gassed himself out. We've seen Ulberg's not top of the line. Anyway, but in the first round of this particular fight against Da Un Jung, in the first round, he keeps his high guard, stands at range, just stands there, no footwork in this whole fight. Eats a straight right, but he lands some straight lefts in return, and then he eats some short rights and elbows, and Da Un Jung elbows him through his guard, and he gets KO'd. So I don't fucking know. It doesn't make sense. He took all those shots from Ulberg, and this one was blocked, and he went down. So I don't know. It's just really weird, and Zechariah's a really weird fighter. The line in Zechariah minus 135, Negumereanu plus 115. I'm going to pick Negumereanu plus money, and Zechariah, I don't know what to think of him at this point. And like I said, Negumereanu, he gets in a firefight, he wins firefights. And Zechariah does bad when people press him, I guess. He's going to press him. As long as he doesn't get clipped as long as he doesn't get clipped really hard coming in. And like I said, I think he might have a decent chin. Kennedy hits hard, but not the hardest. I like it. My pick here is Nikolai Negumereanu. All right, the co-main event of the prelims. At women's strawweight 115, you got Marina Rodriguez taking on Yao Xiaonan. Pretty big fight for Rodriguez here. She took on Mackenzie Dern her last fight. In the first round, she backs out of range of Mackenzie Dern's blitz. Doesn't like to get hit. Does a good job of that. And she eats her right hook, and she blitzes and gets the clinch to the fence. Sorry, she eats her right hook, and she eats combinations from Mackenzie Dern and gets the clinch to the fence. But then she presses forward, but she misses a straight right, but she's able to land the body kick on the follow-up, and then she lands a counter right hook off of Mackenzie's jab. Then in the second round, tough round for her actually, the second one, but she gets pressed, eats some right hooks, and she gets taken out with the hip toss against the fence, two-side control. Her back is taken, and Mackenzie has I guess it's called a straight arm bar. She put the arm between her knees, inside control. She's able to get out of it though, but still definitely a threat, especially against Mackenzie Dern. But then she eats some ground and pound from full mount. She's trying to escape. Mackenzie's able to get full mount. And pretty tough round for her, but she hung in there. Then in the third round, she looked a lot better. She lands a head kick at range, lands a jab as Dern rushes in, and then she's able to circle out, stick and move. And then she lands some leg kicks and front kicks. And then she lunges forward and lands a body hook, really nice to go to the body. See someone go to the body, and then she defends the single leg, and then she just lands some elbows while she's defending against the fence. And then fourth and fifth round, she starts picking up and more of the same. Doesn't get taken down. Just stays at range, stays on a bicycle, stick and move. And, pretty good victory over Mackenzie Dern, who's very tough. Yao Jianan, she took on Carla Esparza her last fight, but Esparza's definitely a very different fighter than Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez, not wrestling heavy at all. So before that, she took on Claudia Gadelha. In the first round, she lands a 1-2 in the pocket, but she eats a straight shot, and then she gets taken down with a body lock with inside trip, and then back on her feet, she gets clinched to the fence for a long time, most of the round. But then she lands a body kick, but then she gets taken down with the single. But then in the second round, Gadelha, her gas tank diminishes a little bit, and Jianan does a better job of defending. In the second round, she lands some step-in, 1-2 combinations, and then she pumps the jab, and then she lands straight right as Claudia presses forward, but she eats a counter left hook whenever she exits from the inside. And in the third round, she gets clinched to the fence immediately off of a double leg. And then, but she's able to step in, break free from that, steps in and lands some jabs at range. She circles around, staying on her bike a little bit too. But then she's able to reverse the clinch position and press Gadelha up against the fence. And then she lands some knees to the body there. And this, whenever she gets the clinch, she really uses it, tries to do damage, which I liked. And then she lands some straight rights in the pocket exchange toward the end of the fight. And first round got dominated. 2 and 3 looked really good. Yao Jianan plus 210, Marina Rodriguez minus 260. Again, it's women's MMA, but it's high-level women's MMA. So, I still don't know. I just like Marina Rodriguez. I picked her against Dern. I don't want to make that mistake again. Jianan, not a grappler. Marina Rodriguez only struggles against grapplers, but even then, she got a split decision with Carla Esparza. She's the best wrestler in the division by far now that Tatiana Suarez is out. I really hate the price, but I don't want to mess with any props or anything, especially on women's MMA. So I think Marina Rodriguez will stick and move. I think they're going to be a stand-up war. I think Marina Rodriguez is the better striker. I think Jianan will get tired, hopefully. Anyway, you got to throw the money down. My pick here is Marina Rodriguez. On to the main event of the prelims, 155 men's lightweight. Jalen the Tarantula Turner taking on Jamie Mullarkey. Two up-and-comers looking to make a name for themselves. Turner took on Uros Medic his last fight. In the first round, he presses, but he eats a head kick, but he catches that head kick and gets a takedown and side control. I really like that about him. But then back on the feet, he eats left cross off of his own leg kick, but then he lands a straight left, presses forward, lands a left body hook, and then he lands a right hook to the head, and then a body kick, and then a left body hook, and then a flurry to the body and the head, and then he's able to get the rear naked choke submission off that, gets able to, Medic drops down, he's able to get the rear naked choke, and I really like that. And you could just see him use his length and use his grappling, and very aggressive, and I thought he looked well. Looked good. And then Jamie Mullarkey, he took on Devontae Smith his last fight. In the first round, I didn't think he's going to go great for him in the first round, in my opinion. He presses with some leg kicks, but then he walks into a couple 1-2s, but he circles out when he gets hit. But then he gets rocked with a 1-2 and then a left hook, and then he eats some hooks and then a knee to the head when he's striking in the pocket. But then he's able to get the body lock takedown on the fence toward the end of the round. Then the second round, things pick up for him. He lands a hard leg kick and then a body kick, and then he lands some knees to the body in the clinch and then some elbows. And then he lands a flurry on the fence to the body and the head with hooks, and then he gets a TKO. Just a hook flurry, just kind of goes crazy, and it was enough, and he kind of smuggled in the water and got it done. Kind of like Turner, so similar in that way. They both go for it, got to admire that. Mullarkey plus 135, Turner minus 155. I don't know. We really haven't seen Turner go past the first round too many times, and if Mullarkey gets in there and makes it an ugly fight, that's how he can win. He can really change the course of the fight. But it's a close one. But I just really like Turner. I think he has a lot further to go in this division. And all due respect, Mullarkey hasn't beaten the best opponents. And neither has Turner. So people are so confident. I've been hearing people are so confident about Mullarkey. And I don't know, man. I like what I see out of Turner. I think he'll be able to use his length, use his bike. Now, gets in a second, third round. Might be an issue, but I think Turner can win at least 2 rounds. That's all it comes down to. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. I think Mullarkey can get knocked out. My pick here is Jalen the Tarantula Turner. I guess. We'll see. I'll probably be wrong. Moving on to the first fight on the main card, the fight that nobody asked for. At 265 men's heavyweight, you got Sergey Spivak taking on Greg, the Prince of War, Hardy. Great nickname, dude. Anyway, Spivak took on Tom Aspinall his last fight. Didn't go well for him. He gets pressured to the cage, eats a 1-2. His double attempt gets stuffed, and then he gets clinched and then dropped with the right hook, and that's literally it. Aspinall ran right through him. But before that, he took on Alexei Oleinik, different fighter than Hardy, but his most recent fight. And Oleinik can crack. Started to get to see a little bit of wrestling. Not particular, didn't really see that. I did, but it was more from Oleinik pulling him on top of him. Anyway, first round, he pumps a jab from the outside. He circles out of the clinch attempts, and then he lands some straight shots, but he eats some overhands, but he lands a counter uppercut in the pocket. Then he gets pulled to the mat, and then gives up. Oleinik gets around him, pulls him down with a body lock, and then he gives up his back, and then gives up full mount. Not a good look for him. Second round, he gets pressed and eats some straight shots, and then whenever Oleinik gets inside him, and then he lands some short hooks when Oleinik presses. Whenever Oleinik comes forward, he's able to land, which I like that. I'm trying to keep distance from Oleinik, try to keep him off him. But then he gets on top on Oleinik, literally pulls him on top of him. And then he lands some hard elbows in half guard. And then he fails an anaconda attempt. And then Oleinik is able to get on top of that, which I thought was stupid because he was winning the round. And then that right there made it very tricky for the judges. Not good ring IQ. On the third round, he backs up and lands some jabs, and he lands a knee and a left hook on the inside, but he gets pressed with some overhands and then clinch to the fence. But then he gets hit with some wild hooks by Oleinik and some straight shots, and then he sprawls on Oleinik's single, and then he's able to take the back and then get in a half guard. But he doesn't do much ground and pound really, so I just didn't see anything really threatening about Spivak, to be honest. He's not necessarily a great wrestler. So, and then Greg Hardy took on Tai Tuivasa his last fight, and that was a gunfight, and he lost. He rocked Tai Tuivasa, but he's a different fighter than Spivak. Spivak's more grappling involved. So he took on Tybura in the first round. He pulls his leg out from the single, able to defend an early single attempt, and then he gets the clinch against the fence. Then he lands a straight right at range, and then he lands a lead left hook to the body and then to the head, and then he lands a 1-2 as Tybura rushes in. And Hardy's doing a really good job picking shots. He was surprisingly accurate. Well, he would also just swing wild hooks, but he hit his target a lot of the times. And then he presses with a straight right, and then he's able to stop the single leg, and then he lands multiple straight rights at the end. Lands 7 straight rights in a row. Really hurts Tybura, man. Like, it looked really good for him at the end of the first round, but it went downhill in the second round. He's at range. He lands some lunge and jabs, and he's a little too extended, and then he eats a 1-2 counter from Tybura. Then he eats a lead left at range, and then you can tell he starts getting pressured. Tybura starts going forward, and then that's when he starts swinging these hooks wildly and starts missing, and you can tell he's getting a little winded. And then he throws a 1-2, but then he gets taken down with the single on the fence, and then once he's on the ground, he has nothing to offer, and just gets TKO'd, and that was that. Yeah, so that's a tough one because Hardy can really crack, but if he doesn't hit, and in the second and third round, if he doesn't get a big shot, at least really hurt the guy in the second and third round, it's going to be trouble. Hardy plus 165, Spivak minus 195, and I'm trying to take it's Greg Hardy, trying to keep that out of my mind. And going back to my rule, if it's a close one and I don't know, go with the underdog. And it's a close one, and I don't know. And Spivak is not as good of a wrestler as I thought he was. I think Hardy's going to light him up, at least for the first round. Plus 165, it's heavyweight. Go with it. My pick here is Greg Hardy. Yeah. All right. Second fight of the main card at 170, Kevin Holland taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Kevin Holland making his debut at 170 in the UFC. Weight cut might be an issue, but I'm trying to keep that out of there because I'd assume he makes the weight safely. He took on Marvin Vettori his last fight in the first round. He comes forward and he pumps a jab, but Marvin lands a 1-2 and then closes the distance with a clinch kind of immediately. But then he lands a head kick as he's backing up and then a straight right. But then he gets clinched again and then taken down with a trip. But he's able to roll, just back roll, I guess you'd call it, and he escapes. So pretty funky, pretty cool. Vettori's a pretty good wrestler, but then back on the feet, he eats a straight left against the cage. Then in the second round, he returns a 3-2 and then a front kick whenever Vettori comes in, and then he lands a straight right, but he gets countered, and then he gets pressed, and then gets taken down against the cage again, and not really much to report after that. Then in the third round, he gets pressed with a jab to a hook, and then double-legged by Vettori, but then he's able to escape the arm triangle, so a lot of fight out of Kevin Holland. You got to admire that. But he backs up, and he lands a jab, but he eats straight right, and then he gets taken down, and that's what happens. Like, he'll get some space, pop out, but then Vettori will just close the distance and clinch him and take him down. So he's got to keep guys off of him. But then he lands a body kick and a jab at range, but he eats a counter straight right, and then he lands an uppercut and hooks, but then he gets clinched again. But then he lands a hook on Vettori on the break, and then he's able to press forward and land some elbows. And then fourth and fifth round, more the same, gets taken down, but had some moments of striking there. But Alex Oliveira is not nearly as good a wrestler as Vettori is. So also, how Holland will be the bigger guy here. So Oliveira took on Niko Price his last fight. In the first round, he slips the jab, then he lands a counter right hook. He lands a 1-2, and then a knee to the body, but then he gets clinched. But he's able to get a back trip, but Niko is able to roll through and then reverse him and take half guard. Sucks. So, but Oliveira, Kevin Holland's got to be prepared for that, so hopefully Kevin Holland can do something similar. Then in the second round, they both trade leg kicks. He lands an overhand over Price's jab, and then he catches a leg kick, and then he's able to get into side control, but he's able to escape the leg lock and the scramble attempts from Price and stay on top, and had a really good second round. So, Oliveira's live. So in the third round, he lands some jabs, and then a body kick and a leg kick, and then he lands another overhand, and then a right off the body kick. But then he lands a body hook, and then a hook to the body, and then a 1-2. Then he's able to dip, and then he lands a hook on Price. But then he eats a counter right hook when they exchange in the pocket, and Price is kind of winning the firefights here. But then he eats a hook off of his jab, and then he gets clinched. But then he lands some hooks in the firefight, and he's able to get around the back of Niko standing against the cage, but then Niko just kind of pushes him off and then gets on top of him in the half guard, and then he just eats some ground and pound for the rest of the round, and he got taken down for a lot of time at the end, so Niko won the third round in the first round, but I thought Oliveira looked really good in the second round, so that's going to be interesting if Holland will be able to get out of those clinch positions there, or if he'll be able to escape quickly, or if, because if Oliveira gets on top of him, Oliveira can do some work there. But Oliveira plus 270, Kevin Holland minus 350. I don't like this line. I've been going back and forth, but I think Holland is a lot better than Alex Oliveira. It all comes down to the wrestling on the feet. I think Holland pieces him up, and I think he'll be okay in the clinch situations. A little bit we saw out of the Dawkins fight. He can get the underhooks, get his back against the cage. I think he'll be able to circle out. We'll see. I hate the price, but I'm going to go with Holland. And then some props I like, plus 800. My friend Troy's really on that one. Shout out to Troy. Or if you get Holland by KO, TKO, DQ, plus 110. And then Kevin Holland by any finish is minus 115. I think there's a decent chance. I also think he could go 3 rounds, but just throwing it out there. Minus 350 is a little steep. But anyway, my pick here is Kevin Holland. Moving on to the feature fight of the night. A real big one. 145 men's featherweight. Edson Barboza taking on Bryce the Twister Mitchell. It's huge for either guy. It's do or die for Barboza. And if Bryce Mitchell wants to be elite, he needs to win this fight. Big one here, if you ask me. Barboza took on Makwan Amirkhani his last fight. In the first round, he went step in hook to the body, and then he lands a leg kick and then a hook, and then he's able to stuff the single leg and then land some body shots on the return, but then he's able to escape the clinch position, break out of it, he doesn't want to be there, then he lands a body kick, but then he gets taken down toward the end of the round, literally last 10 seconds, so that could be rough. But then in the second round, he eats some uppercuts at range, but then he lands a right hook to the body whenever Makwan is coming forward, but then he drops him with the step in right, just touches him and drops him, so Barboza is dangerous as hell. But then he stuffs his single leg on the fence, and then he's able to get in the front headlock position. Really good defense from him. Gonna need that against Mitchell. And then he drops him with a straight right, and he tries the anaconda, doesn't get it, but then Makwan escapes, and then he's able to get the single leg at the end. Right at the end, again, giving up a takedown. Really sucks, but then in the third round, he eats a jump knee, and then he gets taken down with the body lock trip, but he's closes his guard and just forces the ref stand up. Now, not all refs are going to do that. It depends on the ref, but, if you can force an activity, not a bad strategy. and then he's able to rock him with the left hook inside the pocket, and then he drops him with the straight right, and then lands another 1-2 whenever Makwan's coming in, and looks really good. I thought he looked really good in this fight. Gave up those takedowns at the end there, so if it's a close round, that could be a difference maker, but takedown defense isn't terrible, but Amirkhani's not as good of a wrestler as Mitchell is. But Mitchell took on Andre Fili his last fight, a little bit of layoff. He fought October 2020. But, hopefully he made some improvements over that time. But you never know. Young fighter who probably got a little better. Then in the first round, he presses with some leg kicks at range, and then he's able to get the single leg into half guard. And then he gets multiple mat returns and clinch trips. And then he's able to take the back and then transition to full mount and land some hard ground and pound. But then he gets reversed real quick. But Andre just stands up, doesn't want to be on the ground with him. Then on the feet, he eats a jab and a knee, but then he's able to get another single leg takedown at the end of the round, so Barboza's got to watch out for that. And then the second round, he lands overhand right when he gets inside. Then he shoots a double, but it's too far out, and he gets stuffed. But then he gets pressed with some jabs, and he eats a knee to the head whenever he is shooting for a double, and then he just backs out of the position. Then he eats some jabs, but then he shoots against the fence, but he can't complete it. Fili putting up a decent fight here, but then back on the feet, he eats some 1-2s, and then he's able to get the single on the fence, but Fili is able to push off the fence and escape, and then he lands, and then he gets pancaked whenever he shoots a double toward the end of the round. So Fili's showing him some adversity, and I thought Mitchell kind of got pieced up here a little bit, but he was able to recover. Then in the third round, he misses the overhand right and gets pressed with jabs, but then he's able to get the double after he throws his overhand, so he'll throw the right overhand and shoot the double, and works pretty well for him. But then Fili bridges out of it, and he's able to reverse the position, but Bryce able to get out. And then he lands another overhand to a double leg to end the fight, and just kind of seals it. Had some trouble in the second round, but I thought clearly it was 1-3 for Mitchell. Mitchell minus 160, Barboza plus 140. I was going back and forth on this one, and I'm going to break my rule because I'm going to have to go with Bryce Mitchell, but I really wanted to pick Barboza at the beginning, but after watching the tape, Fili didn't piece up Mitchell as bad as I thought he did originally, and I just think Barboza's not going to be able to get up, so I think it's going to be hard as hell for Mitchell to take down at first, but then I think he'll be able to get them, and as the fight goes on, they'll be easier and easier to get, and I think he'll be able to do enough control time to get a decision. My pick here is Bryce Mitchell. Co-main event time. 155 fighting 160, but in the men's lightweight division, Rafael dos Anjos taking on Renato Moicano. Very pumped for this fight. Moicano has so much to gain in this fight, and Rafael, if he doesn't win, he's irrelevant in this division. So Rafael is fighting for relevance. Renato is fighting for superstardom. Very interesting fight here, and Renato is taking it on like a week notice. Keep that in mind, but I can't wait. Anyway, dos Anjos took on Paul Felder. Paul Felder, like, on a week notice as well. But first round, he lands a head kick and then a straight left, but he eats a 1-2, but then he's able to get the double leg takedown. But then he eats a knee and some straight shots as he's coming in towards Paul. But then he's able to get the front headlock position. He's able to stuff Paul's double, and then he's able to get the clinch, and then lands some heavy hooks in the clinch. Second round, he lands a straight left, and then he gets inside with the clinch. Then he just walks into some elbows from Paul after they break. But then he lands a hook to the body in the pocket. But then he backs out of the range whenever Paul throws hooks. He's able to get the double on the fence, shoots out from range whenever Felder's throwing a 1-2, and then break, and he lands a straight left. And then in the third round, he's able to lock up and get the collar tie, and then shoots from a double leg. That's what he'll do, kind of like throw and then get the collar tie, or whenever Felder's coming in, he'll go with that collar tie and then shoot from there, which is a pretty good strategy. And then he's able to get that, and then clinches him to the fence, and then keeps working, able to get the double leg off of the fence whenever they break on the clinch. Just kind of relentless with that. Like, he'll get the clinch, then if he can't get the double he's wanting, whenever they break, he'll go for it and just keep on shooting. And that's like a really good strategy to win on the judges' scorecards. And then in the first round, he walks into a combination, but then he lands some body kicks. But then he shoots a double to the fence whenever Felder throws a straight. But then they break, can't get it. But then he lands a jab, and he circles, gets out of the range of Felder's hooks. But he gets doubled off of his own hook. Pretty nice. Wasn't expecting it, but he's able to work his way to the wall and get back up. and then he sprawls against the fence, and then he's able to get behind Felder. Like, he didn't stay there long, but he was immediately scooting his back to the wall. So he looked really good. And then 5th round, he just takes Felder down. Felder very tired, reasonably so at this point. So, but good performance from RDA. Again, though, he fought last November 2020, so he's coming off a layoff too. But Renato Moicano, he took on Alexander Hernandez his last fight, and this was recent. This was at UFC 271 about a month ago, not even a month ago. So, but he looked really good in this fight. In the first round, he slips a jab, lands a 1-3 combination, then he ducks down, and then he looks for a single whenever Alex throws. Can't get it though, but he's really changing his level, getting down there, making Alex think about it. But then he gets a clinch to the body lock takedown whenever Alex throws his 1-2. But then Alex is able to get up, but Moicano keeps the clinch, and then he gets another trip takedown into half guard. But then back on the feet, he gets pressed with some jabs, and he gets pressed with some 1-2s. But then he's able to dip and land a counter right hook off of Alex's jab. And then in the second round, he lands a right hook whenever Alex is coming in towards zone. Then he's able to just grab the plum tie, land a couple knees to the head, really nice. And then he's able to duck the jab, land an uppercut on Alex, and then he lands another uppercut and right hooks. And then he's able to drop him, kind of a flurry there, and just get on him and get the rear naked choke submission. He looks really good, dude. Alex Hernandez, not the best guy, not the worst guy, kind of fumbles some big fights, but to finish Alex Hernandez is impressive, so give it to him. Moicano, plus 160, and RDA, minus 190. Call me crazy, but I like Moicano, dude. I don't know. Moicano has a lot of momentum. He's up and coming. He's plus money. I think he can do it, dude. I don't know why, honestly. He looked good, but I don't think it's going to go the full 5. I think it'll go under 4.5, which is minus 120. I would take that one. I think it's do or die from Moicano. I think he's going to be able to do it. Now, RDA is not the easiest guy to knock out, but he might be able to get a submission. Who knows, dude? Moicano just might throw. He might have that mentality, and it's different if it's a lower level guy that has that mentality. I don't think Moicano is low level. I just think he's not ranked yet. He looked very good against Hernandez. Hernandez is no punk. I like Moicano, dude. Crazy things happen. It's pay-per-view. Time for some crazy stuff to happen. My pick here is Renato Moicano. Main event time. 170 men's welterweight. Colby, Chaos, Covington taking a Jorge, Gamebred, Masvidal. This one's just for pride, basically. Pride and clout. But I'm pumped. I'm here for it. They both took on Usman in their last fight. Not doing super in-depth tape study. Just want to show what I saw. First round, Colby, he shoots a single, but it's too far out. And then Kamaru just rolls through. And then he puts him in the front headlock position. Covington doesn't get the takedown. But it's Kamaru Usman. So it doesn't really apply too well to Jorge, but then he's able to counter the jab with the left hook, and then he blitzes forward, but he gets double-legged. Then he lands a body kick and eats a 1-2, but then he throws it overhand, but he gets countered with the left hook from Usman. Then in the second round, he lands a head kick, but he eats a left hook whenever Usman counters it, and then he eats counter hook to the body whenever he gets inside on Kamaru. Then he gets dropped with the left hook while he's trying to throw an overhand. And toward the end of the second round, I thought Kamaru had his number, but Colby's tough as fuck, so he came back, and that's one thing to remember in this fight. Then in the third round, he lands a counter 1-2 off of Usman's jab, throws some wild overhands, and he misses, but he lands a jab at the end of his combination, which is nice. Just kept trying and extended his combinations and finally landed on Kamaru. But his single leg gets stuffed, and he eats left hook, and then he eats a 1-2, but he lands some straight shots whenever Kamaru gets on the inside of him. But then he presses forward, and then lands some straight rights, and then he's able to get the duck under. When they're in a clinch position, gets a duck under takedown. I think it's a takedown, but it doesn't matter, dude. Jorge's going to be 1,000 times easier to take down than Kamaru, so keep that in mind. Then in the fourth round, lands an overhand left on the inside. He gets backed up with jabs, but he lands an uppercut and a left hook as Usman comes forward towards him. And then he lands a left and a right hook, and then he eats a counter overhand right in the pocket. Then he lands a hard body kick, and then some hooks in the firefight, and kind of got the better of the firefight there. So, if he can firefight with Usman, I think he can firefight with Masvidal. Not necessarily the best strategy, but he can strike with Masvidal. That's what I think, if he has to. Anyway, Masvidal took on Usman his last fight. Not much to this fight, but mostly striking, so I thought it'd be good. He gets in some wrestling. In the first round, he lands some leg kicks and he pumps a jab, but he eats a counter straight right. Then he lands a body kick and a left hook when he stays at range. Then he lands a jump knee, big mistake, gets taken down right away with the body lock by Kamaru. So Jorge's IQ is questionable. Going against a wrestler, throwing a jump knee like that. But then he's able to work to the fence and able to stand up, which I really liked from him. So it might be some small improvements there. But then back on the feet, he walks into a straight right and a jab. But he presses forward with the 1-2, and then lands a knee to the body on Kamaru. So some nice work there. But then the second round, he misses with the lunge overhand right, and then he gets backed up with some jabs, and then just gets KO'd with the right cross kind of out of nowhere. Jorge kept his hands down a lot of this fight too. That's what he does. That's his swagger, but you gotta watch that. I don't think Colby's gonna knock him out with one punch like that, but you never know, dude. I thought Colby's striking was better against Usman in the last fight. Not better than Jorge's, but I thought it looked a lot. There's a lot of improvement that I saw there. So, Jorge has the devastating knockout power, but Colby might get a knockout. You never know, dude. I didn't think Usman was going to knock Jorge Masvidal out like that. And that's another thing. Don't really want to look too much into it, but he did just get knocked out. He's never been knocked out, so what will that do? But I don't think Colby's going to knock him out. Anyway, Jorge plus 260, Colby minus 335. Real quick, I like the under 4.5 plus 130. Why not? Why not, dude? That's basically just not to go to the distance. Plus 130, you never know. Anyway, I like Colby Covington. I wouldn't be shocked if Masvidal knocked him out. I really wouldn't. Crazy shit happens, especially in pay-per-view main events. But I just think it's going to be what people think. Covington's going to get in his face, going to take him down. I think Masvidal might put up a good fight against the takedowns first round. But I think Covington's going to wear on him. That cardio is just unmatched. You see Masvidal get tired as the fight goes on. My pick here is Colby Covington. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I've been doing pretty well the last few weeks. Want to get a perfect night Saturday, but this is a really tricky pay-per-view, honestly. But we got lots of fun matchups. I'm pretty excited. Got some big dog opportunities. Anyway, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. I will do a plus-5 recap. Leave a comment. Ask me any of your questions you want. Show me your picks, and we can talk it out. Appreciate it, guys. I want to win some money, and I want to see some crazy shit on Saturday.